Finally, T. Higgins is coming home. He's coming home. He's signing his tender today, but at what cost? Is he going to get hurt? It's not like he's, sat out all of July or all of June, but these things tend to have a high percentage of injury, some sort of hamstring injury, some sort of, compensation injury from the player trying to play through a little bit of soreness or something. And you got to think, okay, there's a little extra added injury risk here. A little bit. Ayuk, same thing. Any player holding out right now through June 15 has more of a likelihood of getting hurt than the average player that's been sitting, with pro trainers and inside the facility, running routes, doing everything they're supposed to be doing this entire time. Missing Bengals OTAs does increase the likelihood of injury, whether you want to believe it or not. And Jermaine Burton is a fantastic prospect, a good cuff in fantasy. Let's talk a little bit about T. Higgins and this tender he's signing, what it means for Ayuk, what it means for T. Higgins, what it means for any other player that might be looking for a bag right now. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. And we're live, baby. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Breaking news. You can dial in if you have a question. We're not going to be here too long today because, this is a short video. I want to come in here and kick around the conversation of T. Higgins signing his tender. What did he gain from this? Did he send a clear message to the team that I want my bag and now I'm coming home? I get Ayuk wants to sit out and get his money. I get that T. Higgins wants to sit out and get his money, but you guys are no good to yourselves if you get injured in the following or this coming year and you walk into the following offseason trying to get a bag as a wide receiver, struggling to get the bag now, struggling from your own team that should respect you more than any other team. If you get injured, you're far worse off than you are right now. So T. Higgins seems to think that he has a top 5 to 7 wide receiver evaluation. Maybe he does with the right team. I'm not saying he couldn't get traded tomorrow and the Washington Commanders work out a long-term deal. Higgins is still very much wanting a long-term deal. The Bengals seemingly do not. And how do we know that? Because they haven't signed him to a long-term deal. They also drafted Jermaine Burton. This is similar to the Niners situation. Ricky Pearsall, first-round pick, even more so the Niners looking to maybe not pay Ayuk what Ayuk wants. They want to pay Ayuk. They want to keep Ayuk, but they don't want to pay Ayuk anywhere near the market value that the Niners allowed to unfold. Now, the Bengals are in a different position because the Bengals don't care. The Bengals are saying, from what we gather anyway, we don't care. T, you're not worth it, bro. We like you. We love you. We want you in the building, okay? And we potentially talk conversation if we were in the same ballpark. But this man wants top 5 to 7 wide receiver numbers. The only way he's getting that is if a team like Washington wants to bring in a player that makes Jaden Daniels just level up right away, and they feel like paying the piper. That could happen. That's the one kind of scenario that I kick around. Green Bay, could they want a wide receiver? Pittsburgh won't pay T. Higgins what he wants. They probably want a wide receiver, but they can't do that. There are very few teams that would even remotely consider some sort of, we want to pay T. Higgins to the moon, and then on top of that, give up a whole bunch of draft capital. Giving up draft capital on top of that doesn't make sense for a lot of teams. That is a high cost of entry. Give up, first rounder, couple second rounders, whatever the hell it may be for T. Higgins. And then what? Sign him to a deal that is $70+ million guaranteed? You're not going to get him to accept a $55 million guaranteed contract. He would have already probably done that. Now, we heard the Bengals and T have never really even had negotiations for a while. I bet they've kicked around something, but the last offer was so far ago that it seems like they were not even close, and T was like, I'm not gonna even show up if you guys don't come to the table and give me some sort of respectable top 10 wide receiver offer. With the Bengals, they're saying we're standing on business. We're bringing in Burton. We're not really too concerned about having you here next year. And that's the way it feels. That's the vibe. And he finally accepted it. I better come in. And he's not getting fined because he wasn't under contract. Now he is. He's signing his franchise tag tender. He's going to get paid his $20+ million, which is a handsome 1 year amount of money. And he'll probably, in a very, very strong wide receiver market, get $30 million a year annually next offseason. His agent probably said, T, come in, bro. Come in and get your $20+ million franchise tender for the 1 year. And this market, when CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase are done with it, guess what's going to happen, pal? 110, 115, 120 million guaranteed makes a lowly wide receiver like you get 70 million guaranteed dollars with ease in 2025 offseason. Come in, pal. Come in and play on the tender. That's what he's being told. Ayuk is going to very much look to play on the 5th-year option for the same very reason. His agent probably texting him saying, hey, Ayuk, come in, play on your 5th-year option, pal, and next year's market's going to treat you like a king. But will they accept their place in the top 10 to 15, or does Ayuk and Higgins continue to demand top 5 wide receiver money? They got to come to the realization they are not that guy, pal. They are not that guy. Not much really else to go over on this other than this is good for Joe Burrow to a degree, right? You want him to have as many weapons as he can. You want him to be as versed as he can. He's coming back from the injury, so he needs to be out there gunslinging with players that he's going to be playing ball with during the season. Okay, we know Higgins is a starting wide receiver. Burton's not overtaking him in the lineup or anything like that. So we need T there to help Burrow along. Make sure Burrow's ready to rumble and good to go and healthy. So this is good news for Joe Burrow. It's good news for T. Higgins. I mean, he's okay value. I don't hate his ADP. If he climbs because of this news, and I don't know that he will because this is just him signing a tender, it's not like the spotlight was on him. Like if T. Higgins got traded to Washington and got the bag on top of it, they signed him to a $69 million to $74 million guaranteed deal, gave him $29 million a year or whatever the hell it would be. All of a sudden, everyone's going, this guy's in the spotlight. Washington's going to use him. Clearly, he's the number 1 wide receiver, right? Let's start taking him in the 3rd round. That's what would probably happen to the fantasy football landscape. And I can tell you right now, as much as I like T. Higgins, I don't love T. Higgins. As much as I think he can be a baller in certain, stretches of a fantasy football season, he's not Mr. Consistent. Not to mention he's the number 2 wide receiver on a team that is a high-octane passing attack, but I don't love drafting number 2s. I'm in the business of drafting number 1s. I'm in the business of drafting number 1s. I don't know about you. And I'm also not in the business of drafting what I believe to be a long-term injury risk. I don't think he's going to shake it. You can say whatever you want. That's my gut feeling, okay? I have a feeling that this guy, especially holding out, that's the problem. He's got to walk into next offseason with maybe a higher risk of injury this year because he sat out until right now, June 15. Tough to say how that's going to affect him. Ayuk, same thing. Look at Debo. Debo sat out waiting for his contract. He sat out waiting for his contract. He didn't get it. He didn't get it till late in the offseason. Debo had the worst year of his career. Doesn't matter if you're working out with chains around your neck doing push-ups on Instagram. You need to be in the facility. You need to be running routes. You need to be doing footwork with your teammates, with your coaches, doing pro training in a pro facility with pro players around you with a pro mentality. Not working out by yourself. That doesn't get it done. It leads to injury. Ayuk Every day he waits becomes more likely to get hurt. Every day. Higgins already has that injected into his 2024 outcome. The phone lines are open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Dial into the phone lines brought to you by the Attic.shop. Taking just a few, and then we might be out of here today. This is going to be a short video. I just wanted to get in here and talk about this and see if you guys had any questions relating to T. Higgins and relating to his value. And maybe, do you like him now that he's coming home? Do you feel like this is an avoid no matter what? John, you're live. John.
Hey, I have a few questions in regards to Higgins and Chase. Is Joe Burrow's injury, is it like a serious injury? Is it the ulnar collateral ligament, like the elbow ligament? What's with that injury? Is it going to affect those other two players? Is he going to be good to go? And then are there other players on that team, particularly the tight end? I think it's like Mike Gesicki. Is he worth taking?
Gesicki is definitely somebody that I feel is a decent prospect, I'd say. Joe Burrow is expected to be, it's a torn like wrist ligament, but he's expected to be fine. There are a lot of like Twitter doctors and people that have, I think, spread some fear amongst the Joe Burrow believing community, saying that he'll never be the same based on my expectation in my practice. There's, this injury happened to a 87-year-old man, and he couldn't use his wrist the same ever again. These are pro athletes, okay? They're rehabbing differently. They're doing different things. They got the best attention that you could have. And Joe Burrow says he'll be 100% by camp. He's being honest and saying he's not quite there yet, but he's out there throwing. Everything's fine. But no, I don't think this is an injury that I'm too concerned about for the future. I will say Joe Burrow does feel like he has a little bit of injury risk. He does feel a little bit injury prone. Doesn't mean he can't shake that free. But if your life was on the line and you had to draft a quarterback, I'm sure some of that, and it should, kind of come into play where you're like, I better back Joe Burrow up. Joe Burrow could be a top 5 quarterback the entire season. Joe Burrow, every time he's on the field, has the threat of top 5 running back numbers being dropped. But if I did own Joe Burrow, I'm owning JD5. If I did own Joe Burrow, I'm grabbing Jordan Love. I want to have a combo of the same type of upside Joe Burrow has with Joe Burrow. Almost like a bully QB stack, but a very cheap one. This goes for one QB, non-best ball. This is not me drafting bully QB in a non-best ball. That is ridiculous. You don't ever want to draft two like Mahomes and AR5 back-to-back in a 1 QB non-best ball. In best ball, it's very different. It's called bully quarterback. And since you don't decide who starts each week, optimal scoring does. You can't get it wrong, and it's a very different process. In a 1 QB non-best ball, like your grandma's league, whatever, you can't do that. You're wasting draft capital. But you can do a Joe Burrow, Jordan Love later. You can do a Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, Penix Jr. trio in non-best ball. I'm not worried about Joe Burrow. He says he's good. I believe him. He's smoking cigars out on the field right now, and I think he'll be healthy. As far as your other question, sure, Gesicki, there's some upside, but there's so many tight ends this year from top to bottom, bro, on this tight end board. There's no reason to go near Gesicki, to be honest. You can get Goddard outside the top 11. You can get Kate Otten if you want to throw that on top of a Goddard because you're worried about Goddard getting hurt. You can get Njoku and Goddard. You can get so many options later. I definitely build at least 2 or 3 in a best ball. I'm drafting 3 tight ends in best ball every time. And there's a lot of data. And again, the data is good. The data is bad. Okay. Everybody loves to use best ball data from last year to determine their life. When they take a leak, when they draft a quarterback, when they wait on a wide receiver or grab 5 wide receivers in the first 7 rounds. It is what it is. It's data that helped tell a story about last year. But what I will say is that data does show that compiling tight ends, make sure you're grabbing 3 of them, and even waiting on that process can benefit you, because then you're getting bigger stabs at running back, wide receiver, and quarterback, and the likelihood of this tight end pool being so deep. This is my assessment anyway. Last year, the tight end pool was not super deep. This year, it's tremendously deep. And since the data last year told you that people had a nice, significant increase in odds of making a finals, right, by going the triple late tight end stack, that tells me in a deep tight end room, that might be the way to go again this year. So it's a great move. Not saying Gesicki can't be a part of that trio if you want, but I still find I could find 3 better tight ends. I can make Isaiah Likely or a Kraft with my Luke Musgrave with maybe a Goddard as my trio, and I'm fine with that.
And then I have one more question in regards to Higgins. What round are you trying to get him, and what players are you taking him over?
T. Higgins, I would probably say, bro, his ADP is going to move a little bit because he's back. Like, people have been not drafting him because they have a little bit of fear in the back of their mind. Like, could he not show up, or may he, whatever. But he's going at 42 overall, which is wide receiver 28. You're talking like round 4, 5 territory in between there. I don't hate round 5. I don't love round 4. It's just the way I feel about it. I think that when you look at his ADP and you see, Dell above him, Cooper Kupp above him, those all make sense, and I'm definitely drafting Cooper Kupp and Dell over T. Higgins. Below T. Higgins, you're looking at McLaurin, Hollywood Brown, Jaden Reed, and Amari Cooper. Those are all very, very understandable players to be ranked around each other. Would I rather have Hollywood Brown over T? Probably, right now. Jaden Reed, probably.
Appreciate it, Smitty. Have a great day.
All right, later, John. Mars Man, rock out. What's up, my guy? And we got Moon Man, Salty Chopper. What's up, boys?
What's that? What up?
Let's go to rock out first. I'm only here for a few minutes, so hurry up, rock out. Hit me with it real quickly, and then I'm gonna let you jump, and then Salty, give me yours, and then I'm out of here. Go ahead, rock out. Go. You're live.
Yeah, so far I don't have any shares of Higgins, so convince me on why I should pick Higgins in like the 4th, 5th round.
Nah, I'm not going to convince you. I like him. I don't love him. Would I draft him? Yes. Would I tell people to draft him? I would say depends on who's on the board. Would I take Tank Dell or Cooper Kupp or George Pickens over him? Yes. Would I take Christian Kirk over Higgins? No. Would I take Terry McLaurin over Higgins? Maybe. I really like McLaurin this year. Would I take Hollywood Brown over Higgins? Probably, yeah. Would I rotate Higgins in there? Yeah. If I had 4 leagues side by side, you're at the bottom of round 4. I know I say I like Higgins at 5 and not loving him at 4. You're at the bottom of round 4, and I've got all those guys available. I could 100% see myself in one of those 4 or 5 leagues considering Higgins, especially if I got a Joe Burrow and it's best ball. If I don't have Joe Burrow or it's not best ball, I'm still considering him in one of the 4 leagues. So 20%, 25%, somewhere around that percentage of wanting to have him on my roster with all those guys on the board. But we look at T. Higgins at 42 overall. What running backs are at 42? This is kind of the greater question. This is kind of what happens with me and how my mind works.
Jacob.
I'm on the clock and I see T. Higgins there at 42. I say to myself, well, shit, I might as well wait for Jaden Reed next round. And at 42 overall, let's smash some Josh Jacobs. Let's smash. Let him cook. Let him cook.
Let him cook.
At the end of the day, am I taking little T? I'm not taking little T, probably. At the end of the day, I like even when I look at it right now and I say to myself, 48 overall, T. Higgins going 40. Where is it? 40.
42.
Hold on. T. Higgins. Little T. Higgins. 42 overall. 42 overall.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs going 48. ETN going 42. Are we taking Higgins over ETN, who was a top 5 running back last year? The answer to that is easy.
No.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
ETN, Josh Jacobs are there 9 times out of 10 when T. Higgins is on the board. Give me the later player. Give me the later wide receiver. 1 round later, I'm going RB in this round. Probably in a sense, as much as I want to say like you're comparing wide receivers. John's question was, hey, would you draft this wide receiver or this wide receiver? But push comes to shove on the clock. Higgins probably ain't getting my nod. On top of that, guess who's sitting there at 49 after T. Higgins? Joe Burrow.
Mashed potatoes!
No. Yeah, buddy. I'm calling it off. I'm calling it off. No T. Higgins. I'm just calling it off. Salty, what's up, my guy?
Yo, bringing it back to the tight ends real quick. I was wondering your thoughts on Jonnu Smith for this year. I kind of like him as a really late tight end, especially in best ball, going over to Miami. I think he's going to get a lot of work.
I don't love him in non-best ball just because of what I said earlier. The tight end pool is so deep. I'm looking at the top 15, 16 tight ends right now. He's not even on it. And right at the bottom of that's Goddard, Bowers. You know, Hawkinson I don't love because he's not healthy. But below that, Luke Musgrave, Cade Otton, Ben Sinnott. We're talking about Likely, Isaiah Likely. All those guys are like you've got 20 plus tight ends that 18 that have that kind of appeal. In best ball, I like him as a third, like in the rotation.
Yeah, I took him in third.
That's it. I don't love Jonnu Smith. Other than that, I like him in the rotation. Doesn't mean he can't surprise me. I just think that with literally down to tight end 15, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ferguson's 10, Ingram's 9, Kittle's 8. This is the ADP, not my ranking. And Njoku, Bowers, Goddard, Dalton Schultz, Luke Musgrave, Ben Sinnott, all those guys, and Likely, all those guys are outside the top 10. Clearly, so like there's just no room for me to be drafting Jonnu Smith in a non-best ball. Best ball, put him in the 3 you need 3 tight ends. So he makes a fantastic third. But that's it for me. For now.
Right on, man. Thanks for your
salty to the moon later, bro. Rock out, anything else? I'll be back later tonight.
Yeah. Why are people taking Diggs in the second round?
I don't know. They got hit on the head. Not sure. Diggs doesn't belong anywhere near the second round. He's typically going in the third round from what I gather, from what I see. He's got a 29 overall ADP, which means he's pretty much cemented in round 3. 29 is not close to 24, so it ain't something the ADP's showing. But if you're seeing it, I don't know what in the hell people are thinking. Diggs is not a second drafted player. He's a hard to draft third drafted player because Tank Dell's in round 4.5. Give me Tank Dell in round 4.5 all day long over a Diggs in anywhere in round 3. All right, rock out. Call in tonight, pal. Appreciate you.
All right, see ya.
John says, can you please drop another private draft? I will in a little bit, John. I could probably do it right now. Hold on. NFL slow draft. Create a private league for John. All right, here you go. Here you go, John. Here you go, pal. Let me copy this. Paste that right here. There you go. Join my $3 private league on Underdog Fantasy. Winner gets like $20, but it's fun to do a bunch of these together because we don't get divided up later. And like with the playoffs, it's us 12 all the way. See who wins. John, appreciate you. Superfish, what are your thoughts on tight end Eric All fitting the Bengals offense? I think there's good upside. I like him a little bit, but as I mentioned with all those other, same thing with Jonnu. In a third tight end role, maybe, but even then, it's really hard if you can get an Isaiah Likely or a Cade Otton or a Kraft to go with your Luke Musgrave to go with your Goddard or whoever. I don't really draft Kraft unless I'm drafting Kraft and Musgrave, but 2 of them together guarantee you the tight end in Green Bay, and I think the Green Bay tight end is going to eat in 2024. So hard for me to, in Dynasty though, I like him. He's got a lot of appeal. You never know when one of these tight ends is going to ball out, and the fact that he's in a great environment makes me like the upside in a Dynasty. I grab him, stash him, taxi squat him. In Dynasty, love the idea. In non-best ball and even in best ball, don't know how much I'm going near Eric All yet, but let's see what happens as he develops. He definitely could grab my attention here in the coming weeks and month, though. I totally reserve the right to watch him to see how he evolves, because sometimes these guys evolve in camp. Sometimes these guys evolve in July. Sometimes they evolve right before the season or even during the season. Maybe he does nothing until week 5, but then all of a sudden we start to like him. Absolutely reserve that right. We need to get Bijan hype in here. Get Bijan.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special message from the Bruce's mother.
Get Bijan.
All right, guys, I'm out of here. Appreciate every single one of you. I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Thank you so much to my super chatters. Thank you, DeVault. Thank you, Superfish. Thank you, John. I'll see you all later. Appreciate you. I'll be live tonight. I'm live when big news breaks like this show right here. I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm live most midnights, drafting live, which will be tonight. See you all later.